in saying that you work together with 4 German musicians on these projects, and if you can remember the names, but actually you just mentioned them all. And they are very different generations. You work together with Edgar Fröse, Tangerine Dream, the late Edgar Fröse, who basically started making electronic music the same time you did. And Hans Zimmer, who's in a completely different musical world, but then also like more youngsters such as Sirius Mo and Boys Noise. And first, for the younger generation, Sirius Mo and Boys Noise, I was wondering, it seems that it's important for you to keep up what's happening in electronic music. How did you find out about these producers, and why did you want to work with them especially?
You know, today electronic music is everywhere, has no more boundaries, and there is something interesting in electronic music because there is a timeless aspect to it, and it's probably coming from the fact that electronic music has nothing to do with America. It has nothing to do with blues, jazz or rock, nothing to do with American pop. It's mainly coming from our countries, Germany and France. It's coming from continental Europe. And because of our heritage of classical music, these long instrumental pieces actually are linked with our influence and our heritage. Electronic music is really, the origin of electronic music is coming definitely from continental Europe and mainly Germany and France. And this is the reason why, I mean, working with musicians of different generations is not a problem, because we are part of the same family, because it's the same concept. I mean, working with some of these younger generations such as Boys Noise and Sirius Mo, great artists from the Berlin School of Electronic Music, the current one. Or people such as Edgar Fröse from Tangerine Dream or Hans Zimmer. We all have something in common. Is the kind of timeless passion for exploring sounds and making music with sounds. And this is what uniting actually and make the unity of this Electronica project.
Jean-Michel Jarre hat auf diesen beiden Alben unter anderem auch mit 4 deutschen Musikern zusammengearbeitet. Auf der einen Seite mit Hans Zimmer, den Hollywood-Soundtrack-Komponisten, mit Edgar Fröse von Tangerine Dream und mit Sirius Mo und Boys Noise, die beide zu einer sehr jungen, aktuellen Generation an elektronischen Musikern aus Berlin gehört. Und ich habe ihn gefragt, warum gerade diese Musiker und was hat ihn daran fasziniert. Und er meint, dass das Besondere an den Ursprüngen von elektronischer Musik ist, dass es halt eine Musik ist, die sich nicht unbedingt ableitet von amerikanischer Rockmusik, sondern die in Ländern wie Frankreich und Deutschland entstanden ist und auf eine andere Tradition zurückgreift. Und dass er da schon starke Gemeinsamkeiten sieht in der Geschichte und in der Herkunft dieser Musik. Und für ihn ist es dann eigentlich unerheblich, ob er mit Leuten aus seiner Generation arbeitet oder mit Leuten, die deutlich jünger sind, weil er meint, man hat eigentlich ein verbindendes Vokabular, auf das man zurückgreifen kann.
And I would like to add that actually for me it's not I'm going to
Did you compose your own ringtone?
Actually, it's funny what you're saying, because what you're listening at the moment is some music I've done for the new channel in France, and actually it's following me everywhere, because now they have this each time they have a news, breaking news, you have this music following me everywhere, and I'm sorry.
Ich habe ihn gerade gefragt, ob er auch seine eigenen Handy-Klingelton komponiert hat, und er meinte, ja, tatsächlich. Und zwar
it has been a busy year for me, because apart from Electronica and Oxygen and the tour, also I composed this music for television and radio, for the national radio station, news station, radio and public television. So
dieser Klingelton, den wir gehört haben, den hat er gerade für eine französische Nachrichtensendung komponiert, und er meinte, das ist ein bisschen gewöhnungsbedürftig für ihn, weil immer wenn er jetzt Fernsehen guckt, denkt er, sein Telefon klingelt. This reminds me, you did something similar many years ago when you were complaining, or when you told, I think, the owner of the watch company Swatch that they didn't have any clock with an alarm on. So they asked you just to make your own Swatch with an alarm.
Yeah, it's true. Yes, I mean Nicolas Hayek, the head of Swatch, was telling me because I was going to do a concert sponsored by them. I said, but you're not wearing my watches. I said, because I don't trust concierge in hotels, and I want to have an alarm clock, and you don't do alarm clocks. He said, why not doing one? So I really had to do it. But the challenge is actually, in those days, Swatch was very minimalist as the functionalities, and he gave me I had to do something with 16 events and just 2 notes. And I had to do something with it. It was quite challenging, but became the first Swatch, Alarm Swatch, yeah.
Ich habe ihn daran erinnert, dass er schon mal etwas Ähnliches gemacht hat. That was in the 80s?
It was, yes, in the late 80s or early 90s. Early 90s, huh? When was it? You know.
92. Okay.
You know. It was 92, 93, I'm not sure.
Also Anfang der 90er Jahre traf er auf den Chef der Schweizer Uhrenfirma Swatch und der beklagte sich, warum er keine seiner Uhren tragen würde. Und er meinte, er braucht eine Uhr mit einem eingebauten Alarmfunktion, weil ihn das immer morgens im Hotel daran erinnert, aufzustehen. Und es gab keine Swatch mit einem Alarm. Und dann wurde er einfach gefragt, eine eigene Uhr zu entwickeln für die Firma. Und er meinte, es war gar nicht so leicht, weil er durfte nur 2 verschiedene Töne einsetzen.
I was linked with an album called Chronology, actually, and they heard that I was doing this album, and it linked, obviously, it was an obvious link with Swatch.
Okay, and I wanted to come back on with your work that you did with Edgar Froese, because back when you both started, Tangerine Dream and yourself, the music you did, I mean, you both did pioneering work, but musically, they were opposites in a way. Tangerine Dream were considered to doing this very dark music, and you were very bright in comparison. Was that a particular challenge or reason why you wanted to work with them?
Oh yes, I mean, for me, Tangerine Dream and Edgar Froese has always been a great source of inspiration to me. I mean, it's really part of the DNA of electronic music, so it was a great privilege to be able to work with them. And actually, it's a strange story because I thought that we were working at more or less at the same time, and we had this discussion when we met. We said, I think you started before me, and he said, no, actually you made a mistake, because when you started, we were a prog rock band, and we went to electronic music later on. More or less when they started with Fedora, Ricochet in the early 70s. And actually it's true that I started probably 6 or 7 years ago. Who cares today? But actually it's funny to see that it was obviously far before the internet, right? And we were just a bunch of crazy people working with strange machines, and we were in our cellars like rats. And rat as a Chinese sign, you know. And sometimes somehow it fits with electronic music, because we were in our cellars, I mean, working, and we didn't have lots of contact. I remember the first time I heard Kraftwerk, I thought it was a Californian band singing in English, imitating the Beach Boys. I said it was so cool. But I discovered only a few.
You mean singing in German?
Singing in German, yes. A Californian band singing in German. I mean, and doing a kind of music, a techno version of the Beach Boys, or electronic version. And obviously, I discovered a few days later that they were German. But it's just an example to show how remote we were. I'll let you translate this because I would like really to make a comment on Tangerine Dream and Edgar Froese.
Ich habe ihn besonders auf die Zusammenarbeit mit Edgar Froese von Tangerine Dream, der leider nicht mehr lebt, angesprochen. Und die beiden haben ja ungefähr zur gleichen Zeit mit der elektronischen Musik angefangen und wurden damals aber als sehr unterschiedliche Musiker wahrgenommen, mit sehr unterschiedlichen Sounds. Und ich habe ihn gefragt, ob es eine besondere Herausforderung war für ihn, gerade deshalb mit ihm für sein Elektronikalbum zusammenzuarbeiten. Und er meinte, ja, in der Tat war es das. Und als sie sich getroffen haben im Studio von Edgar Froese, meinte Jean-Michel zu ihm, ja, du hast ja viel früher mit elektronischer Musik angefangen als ich. Und er meinte, nee, stimmt gar nicht, habe ich nicht, weil als ich die ersten Alben gemacht habe, waren wir eigentlich noch so eine Prog-Rock-Band und haben gar nicht mit Synthesizern zusammengearbeitet, und du warst eher dran. Und er erklärt sich das so, dass es ja damals auch kein Internet gab und man wusste eigentlich gar nicht so genau, wann ist welche Musik überhaupt rausgekommen oder wer hat wann was gemacht. Und er hat noch die nette Anekdote erzählt, dass als er das erste Mal Kraftwerk gehört hat mit Autobahn, hatte er gedacht, das wäre eigentlich eine kalifornische Band, die auf Deutsch irgendwie singt, und er hätte das später erfahren, dass das eigentlich eine deutsche Band ist, aber so war das halt zu der Zeit.
Yes, and talking about Tangerine Dream and German music, I mean, I must tell you that for me, Berlin and Germany has been so important in my life. I mean, I love your country, I love this city especially. It has been a heavy source of inspiration in terms of design, graphics, photography, movies, literature, philosophy, music. I mean, this is one of my main source of inspiration as an artist. And obviously working with some German musicians for me obviously was crucial in this project.
Er wollte nur noch mal betonen, dass Deutschland und insbesondere Berlin eigentlich seine ganze Karriere lang eine ganz wichtige Inspiration waren für ihn. Nicht nur was die Musik betrifft, aber auch Fotografie, Kunst, Film, und dass es deswegen ihm auch sehr wichtig war, mit deutschen Musikern zusammenzuarbeiten. I mean, your relationship with Germany goes far, far back, because back, I think it was in the late 1960s, when you were probably in your early 20s, you spent a couple of months at the electronic music studio of the WDR radio station in Cologne. Can you tell us how you ended there and what was your experience?
Yeah, I would like to tell you also that something that you don't know that I'm not necessarily talking about a lot. But I mean, my relationship with Germany is coming from much before than that, when I was a kid. I must tell you that my mom was a great figure in the French resistance during the Second World War. And I've been raised with this extraordinary woman that was, I mean, she taught me about the fact that we should make a difference for all of us between ideology and people. And in that time, it was not that easy to understand that. And that obviously German people and Nazis were two different concepts. And I've been raised with this idea. And she sent me in Berlin when I was 6, 7, because my cousin was in the French army, in the occupation army in Berlin. So I had this kind of very strong link, emotional link with German people since my childhood, even if unfortunately I'm not, my level of German is quite appalling. But apart from that, I mean, it's something which has always been very important in my life. So I developed this special emotional relationship with, and especially with Berlin.
But I mean, that your mother told you that is, I mean, even more astonishing. I mean, she's a survivor of a concentration camp in Germany, so for her to say this, it's not...
Yeah, it's quite amazing, and I must say that everybody should think like this, but it gave me also this idea of understanding probably people wanting to know more about cultures, and obviously we are cousins and brothers, German and French, and we've been through so many different conflicts, but obviously now it's the past. But it's always good to remind to young people these days that actually, I mean, you German people, it's obviously true now. Everybody thinks that, but back in days when I was a kid, it was just in the 60s, and you still had a lot of, wonder and fear and scares and resentment. And I really thank my mom for having, taught me and raised me with this kind of idea. I think we know that when people, when the power in place is generating ideas, which may harm community. I mean, some of us has to stand up against that, and the French resistance were actually. Thank you for this, because it's true, and you know we should not forget that even in France, the French resistance. When my mom was she was in her 20s, right? She was a very young girl, and she was telling me that she was considered as a troublemaker, even as a traitor regarding the power in place in France. So you know, it's things are never black and white. It's the reason why that I've always been quite involved in all these matters, and it's the reason why, for instance, that today in Electronica I wanted to work with somebody like Edward Snowden, for instance, because for me it's exactly the same thing. Is one young guy suddenly saying no to the power in place, saying not stop to technology, but be careful about the abuse of technology and doing something to improve his country, not for the reverse. Sorry, it's a bit long, but it's his fault, you know. Anyway, it's always his fault. Good luck for the translation.
Er betont, dass seine Beziehung zu Deutschland ihm eigentlich schon in die Wiege gelegt worden ist. Seine Mutter war im Zweiten Weltkrieg, Jean-Michel Jarre ist 1948 geboren und seine Mutter war nur wenige Jahre vorher im Widerstand in Frankreich und ist Überlebende des Holocaust und war selbst im Konzentrationslager. Und er kann sich daran erinnern, dass er selbst, als er 6, 7 Jahre alt war, als Kind, hat seine Mutter ihm gesagt, du musst eine Unterscheidung machen zwischen der Ideologie und den Menschen. Und nur weil du mit einer Ideologie nicht einstimmst, heißt nicht, dass du die Menschen hassen musst. Und das hat sich für ihn so eingeprägt, dass es eigentlich eine lebenslange Faszination mit Deutschland gab. Und er das auch für ganz wichtig hält, dass man das den nachfolgenden Generationen mitgibt und dass das vielleicht etwas ist, was gerade nicht nur in Deutschland, sondern auch in Frankreich oder überall man sich daran erinnern sollte. And you just mentioned, I mean, on this album you're not just working with musicians, but there's also one non-musician, and that was Edward Snowden. Could you describe, I mean, first say why you wanted to work with him, but then also, can you tell how you actually met him and say something about your collaboration?
Yes, briefly. I mean, one of the theme of Electronica is this kind of ambiguous relationship we have regarding technology. On one hand, we have the world in our pocket through our smartphones, and on the other hand, we know that somehow we are spied on by the outside world. And I've been really touched by Edward Snowden the first time I heard his name and what he has done, because as I just told you, he made me think about my mom, for the reasons I just explained, right? And so I decided to contact him, not because he's not an artist, he's not a musician, but actually to involve him, and I think that it was important for this project to involve such a citizen, such a human being. Maybe you could translate first part one.
Es gibt noch einen Nicht-Musiker, mit dem Edward Snowden auf seinem aktuellen Album zusammengearbeitet hat, mit dem Jean-Michel Jarre auf seinem aktuellen Album zusammengearbeitet hat. Und das war Edward Snowden, und ich habe ihn nach den Gründen gefragt und er meint, die Gründe sind eigentlich genau die,